There are moments in life that shake the very ground beneath our feet. Moments when headlines turn into heartache. When decisions made behind podiums affect people across oceans. Today is one of those moments. You've read the title. You've heard the shock. A world power moving to expel voices tied to a man like Ibrahim Traoré, a name that rings differently depending on where you stand. But this isn't just about politics. This is about purpose. It's about identity. It's about the way power treats principle when it stands in its way. Now, you might not agree with every ideology, every method, every leader. That's not the point. The point is, when the world starts telling you where you don't belong, you better know exactly who you are. Because if you don't, they will decide it for you. And you'll be erased before you even get a chance to rise. So let's get into it. Let's break this down, not just as an event, but as a wake-up call, as a lesson, as a fire in your bones. This world will challenge your presence. And when it does, it's not just questioning your citizenship. It's questioning your conviction. When someone with influence draws a line in the sand and says, you don't belong here, you better not just pack your bags and walk away. You better ask yourself, what am I carrying that made them comfortable? Because the truth is, people don't move against shadows, they move against light. If your presence causes fear, maybe it's because your truth is louder than their lies. And right now, a statement has been made. Supporters of a revolutionary must go. Ask yourself, why? Because sometimes the world fears not the actions of a man, but the awakening of a movement. Sometimes the real threat is not the leader, but the people who've caught fire with a dream too bold to die. Let this moment be fuel. Let this moment be a reminder that if they can label you, they can try to limit you. But if you live by purpose, then no passport, no policy, no politician can contain you. Let's talk about what this really means. They can sign documents, they can pass orders, they can make announcements and call it law, but what they can't do is expel purpose. Purpose doesn't require their approval. Purpose isn't subject to their paperwork. Purpose doesn't carry a passport. It's born inside you. It walks with you. It lives through you. And when God gives you purpose, no man, no president, no nation can take it away. They might be able to move your body, but they cannot uproot your calling. You see, people will always try to control what they don't understand. And when a man or woman walks with conviction, when they walk with clarity, when they walk with something divine burning inside of them, it unsettles systems built on comfort and control. It makes people nervous, not because of what you've done, but because of what you represent. You represent change. You represent freedom. You represent something they can't manage. And the moment you step into that truth, the world will either follow you, fear you, or try to stop you. But listen to me. They can't stop what they didn't start. If your purpose was written in heaven, then earth can't rewrite it. If your steps are ordered by God, then even a detour is part of the design. If you're walking in purpose, even the fire won't burn you. It'll refine you. Even the storm won't drown you. It'll carry you. Even the exile won't silence you. It'll amplify you. There's something powerful about being rejected for the right reason, because rejection doesn't always mean you're wrong. Sometimes it means you're too right for where they are. You're too awake for a world that's still trying to sleep. You're too free for systems that thrive on chains. So they move to push you out. They think removing you removes the problem. But what they don't know is, when you remove a seed, all you do is plant it somewhere else to grow. They think they're canceling you. They're not canceling you. They're multiplying you. Purpose doesn't die in transition. In fact, transition is where purpose finds new soil. You might have been forced out of one place. But don't forget, Joseph had to be thrown in a pit to get to a palace. Moses had to flee Egypt to become a deliverer. Jesus was rejected in Nazareth before he changed the world. So why are you surprised when you get pushed? Why are you shocked when they try to remove you? It's not personal, it's prophetic. They're playing their role in a story that's bigger than them, bigger than you, bigger than politics. This is divine. And I get it. Being told you don't belong hurts. Being labeled a threat, being misunderstood, being watched and judged, it wears you down. But remember this, they may move you from a location, but they can never move you from your assignment. And if you stay faithful, your purpose will outlive their position. Their terms will end. Their laws will change. But what you were born to do that will echo long after the ink on their policies has faded. So don't lose heart. Don't bow your head. Don't let their rejection make you question your worth. You are not a mistake. You are not lost. You are not displaced. You are exactly where purpose needs you to be, even if it doesn't look like it right now. The pain, the pressure, the politics, it's all part of the molding. Because when your purpose is real, even rejection becomes a tool for elevation. Walk like you know who you are. Speak like your voice matters. Move like your steps are ordered. Let them expel the noise, the crowds, the opinions, but they can't expel the fire inside of you. They can't expel the dream that won't die. They can't expel the purpose that refuses to be buried. You weren't made to be silent. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to rise. And when the world says you don't belong, you say back, I go where my purpose leads. I rise where my assignment lies. And I will not be moved by man. When I was sent by God, they can take your papers. They can change your borders. But they can't touch your purpose. Purpose always finds a way. They can shut down borders. They can issue decrees. They can deport bodies. But they cannot deport the revolution of the mind. That's where the real power lies. Not in the laws of men, but in the thoughts of the awakened. You want to know what scares them the most. It's not a flag. It's not a name. It's not even a movement on the ground. What shakes them to their core is a man or woman who refuses to be mentally enslaved. Because the moment your mind wakes up, your chains fall off. The systems of this world aren't built to fight awakened people. They're built to keep people asleep. To keep you scrolling, shouting, distracted, divided, chasing headlines instead of truth. But when you unplug from all that noise, when you step back and ask, what's really happening here? That's when you become dangerous. Not because you're violent, not because you're loud, but because now you see. And when you can see clearly, you can't be controlled easily. There's a reason tyrants throughout history feared thinkers more than soldiers. Books get banned. Teachers get silenced. Movements get erased from textbooks. Because when people start thinking for themselves, they stop bowing automatically. They stop repeating what they're told. They stop falling in line. And once the mind is free, freedom follows. Because the prison was never the place. It was the perspective. The battleground was never just about territory. It was about truth. And once that truth hits your heart, you can be expelled from a country, but still walk in victory. Now, I need you to hear me. Some of the greatest revolutions in history didn't start with armies. They started with ideas. Ideas that lit fires in the minds of ordinary people. People who got tired of being lied to, tired of being silenced, tired of pretending that comfort was worth the cost of conscience. And that's what's happening right now. Whether you know it or not, there is a war over your mind. They want you afraid. They want you confused. They want you to believe that just because a government says it, it must be true. But the truth, it's not always what's written on paper. Sometimes truth is what keeps burning inside of you when everyone else stops talking about it. And this moment, the expulsion, the controversy, the headlines, it's not just about policy. It's about a clash between the old world that thrives on control and a new generation that thrives on consciousness. And they don't know what to do with that. They know how to handle protests. They know how to deal with threats. But they don't know how to stop someone whose weapon is wisdom, whose revolution is in the mind. That's why they're scared. Because they can exile your body, but they can't exile your mind. They can strip your title, but they can't strip your clarity. And listen to me, once your mind is free, you start to move different. You stop begging for seats at their tables and start building your own. You stop seeking approval from people who never wanted you to win. You start living from your convictions, not their opinions. And that's where change begins. Because one awakened voice is louder than 1,000 empty shouts. One clear mind can shift the atmosphere of an entire room. One person standing in truth can inspire generations to think again, believe again, rise again. You were never called to be a clone. You were never meant to just exist and obey. You were created with brilliance, with insight, with divine reason. So when they try to dismiss you, don't argue. Just think higher, speak deeper, and move wiser. Let your actions carry your understanding. Let your life be proof that even when the world pushes back, purpose still pushes forward. They thought they were silencing a movement by removing people. But what they really did was shine a light on something deeper, a shift in thinking, a people who don't just follow orders, but follow truth. A generation that doesn't just react emotionally, but responds intentionally. And that's what's happening now. The real revolution isn't about flags or borders. It's about minds that can't be manipulated anymore. So free your mind. That's your weapon. That's your power. That's your revolution. Because once your mind is liberated, no matter where they send you, you're already free. Opposition isn't always the enemy. Sometimes it's the mirror. Sometimes it's the very thing that reveals what you were made of. Because nothing brings your identity into focus like resistance. Pressure shows purpose. Fire exposes foundation. And when the world pushes back against you, it's not just because of what you said, it's because of who you are becoming. Don't be surprised when you face opposition. Don't take it as a sign that you're off course. No. Sometimes that resistance is the confirmation you're walking the right path. The enemy doesn't waste energy on people going nowhere. Hell doesn't fight the weak. It fights the ones who carry fire, the ones who walk heavy with destiny, the ones who refuse to bend bow or break under the weight of public opinion or political pressure. See, when they start calling you names, labeling you, watching your moves, trying to block your path, that's not the time to run. That's the time to remember. Remember who you are. Remember what you're carrying. Because they wouldn't be trying to silence you if you weren't already making noise in the spirit. They wouldn't be coming after your name if your name didn't mean something in this moment. So instead of shrinking, stand up straighter. Instead of backing down, dig deeper. Let the opposition be your reminder. You matter. This world tries to define you by external things. Your nationality, your background, your politics, your associations. But identity isn't about what's around you. It's about what's within you. And sometimes it takes rejection to awaken what's been dormant. Sometimes it takes attack to remind you that your anointing isn't normal. When they come for you, that's when the real you shows up. That's when the masks fall off. That's when you start moving, not from fear, but from faith. You see, diamonds don't shine in the dark. They shine when the light hits them. But they're formed under pressure. They're formed in silence. They're formed in the deep. And that's some of you right now. You're in the fire. You're in the opposition. You're facing things that make you question your place. But I'm telling you, this is where your identity is being formed. You're not just being tested. You're being revealed. And the revelation is this: you are stronger than they thought. You are wiser than they expected. You are called for more than they can handle. So when opposition shows up at your door, don't ask, why me? Ask, why now? Because timing matters. Purpose unfolds in appointed seasons. And this might be the season where you find out that what's been opposing you has actually been preparing you. Not just for survival, but for legacy. Not just for protection, but for power. There's something about knowing that the very pressure sent to break you is being flipped into the push that builds you. Identity isn't given. It's discovered. It's earned through battles you didn't ask for. Through pain you didn't deserve. Through rejection that cut deep, but still you're standing. And that means you've got something in you that can't be shaken. That means your identity is rooted in something more than acceptance. It's rooted in purpose. Let them oppose you. Let them talk. Let them exclude you. That's fine, because when you know who you are, you don't need validation from the very people trying to erase you. Your identity was written before they ever had an opinion, before they passed their judgment, before they launched their attack, and it will stand long after they fall silent. So rise in it, walk in it, speak from it, move like you believe it. The world will always try to confuse you, to distract you, to weaken you by making you question yourself. But let this opposition be your answer. Let it be your introduction to your next level, to your next chapter, to the version of you that doesn't bow to fear, doesn't break under pressure, and doesn't forget that opposition doesn't define you. It reveals you. You're not here to play small. You're not here to just get by. You're here to walk boldly in an identity that can't be bought, borrowed, or stolen. And if they have a problem with that, good. That means you're walking heavy. That means you're doing it right. Because the louder the opposition, the clearer the calling. So next time they come against you, don't panic. Remember who you are. And let that identity speak louder than their noise ever could. Real power doesn't panic. Real power doesn't flinch in the face of headlines, politics, or opinions. Real power is calm under fire clear in chaos and steady when the world is shaking. When you have true authority, when you walk with purpose, you don't need to yell, you don't need to rush, and you don't need to prove yourself to people who never saw you in the first place. That's the kind of power I'm talking about. The kind that doesn't need a stage to be seen or a title to be respected. It's not loud, but it's loud in impact. It's not aggressive, but it's impossible to ignore. See, panic is a reaction, but power is a response. Panic is what happens when you're unsure, when you're caught off guard, when you're scrambling to hold on to something you're afraid of losing. But power knows who it is. Power knows its source. Power knows how to wait. And when others are losing their minds, real power is standing still, standing tall, standing focused. That's when you know who truly carries something, because their steps don't change when the storms come. Their posture doesn't break under pressure. When you hear that orders have been signed, that people are being removed, that names are being labeled, it may sound like authority. But don't be fooled. Just because someone speaks from a podium doesn't mean they're walking in power. Insecurity makes noise. Power moves in silence. Insecurity wants to be seen. Power already knows who it is. So when they act out of fear, when they move to erase voices, cancel movements, or exile individuals, don't mistake that for strength. It's not strength that expels. It's fear. It's fear of the unknown, fear of the unshakable, fear of the voices that won't stay quiet, and the people that won't be controlled. And if you're one of those people, if you're carrying something that makes the system nervous, then know this: your calm is your power. Your peace is your weapon. Your silence, your patience, your clarity, those are not signs of weakness. Those are signs of power under control. You don't have to fight every battle they throw at you. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone who misunderstands you. You just have to keep walking, keep speaking, keep moving like you know who you are. And if they don't see it now, that's fine. Because purpose doesn't panic when it's not recognized. Destiny doesn't flinch when it's delayed. It just keeps showing up every single day. It keeps building, it keeps rising. And eventually it breaks through. Not because it forced its way in, but because it never left its post. That's how you win in a world full of panic. You stay consistent. You stay grounded, you stay anchored in truth. Because when the storm passes, and it will pass, the ones still standing will be the ones who never let panic drive the wheel. You've got to stop measuring power by noise. Power isn't always in the protest, it's in the perseverance, it's in the endurance, it's in the moments when you wanted to give up but didn't. When you wanted to react, but chose to respond. That's power. That's spiritual maturity. That's leadership. And right now, the world needs less reaction and more revelation. Less panic and more presence. And let's be real. Sometimes you will feel the urge to panic. You'll feel the weight of what they're saying. You'll feel the sting of rejection. The pressure to fight back, the frustration of being misunderstood. But don't let that moment define you. Breathe. Center yourself. Remember the mission. Remember who you are. Power doesn't mean you don't feel the fire. It means you know how to walk through it without letting it consume you. It means you don't let fear hijack your purpose. So even when you're facing betrayal, criticism, isolation, don't panic. Even when the crowd turns, the headlines twist, and the door slams shut, don't panic. That reaction is what they expect. That breakdown is what they want. But if you can stay centered, stay silent when needed, speak only what builds, and act only from wisdom, then you're walking in power they can't control. They can take your platform. They can change the law. But they can't steal your power unless you hand it over. So don't give it to them. Walk tall. Walk steady. Walk knowing that real power never panics, because it's anchored in purpose, grounded in truth, and driven by something the world can't shake. There comes a point when you realize that no piece of paper, no executive order, no political agenda can override purpose, because purpose doesn't need permission. It was written into you before you were born. And when something is authored by God, there is no man, no government, no policy powerful enough to erase it. You can delay a person. You can sideline them. You can even try to erase their presence from a nation. But what you cannot do is kill what was built in eternity. You see, policy is temporary. It changes with elections. It shifts with pressure. One man writes it, another reverses it. It's fluid. It's fragile. But purpose is fixed. Purpose is eternal. It is not subject to the mood of man or the momentum of public opinion. Purpose stands firm when everything else changes. And if you're walking in that kind of purpose, you've got to understand something. You are not defined by the politics of your environment. You're defined by the calling that lives inside of you. We live in a world that's trying to make people think their destiny hangs in the hands of political decisions, that their value is attached to visas, passports, positions, or platforms. But let me tell you something straight. Nobody can stop what God has started in you. They might not like it. They might try to block it. They might gather all their influence to oppose it, but they cannot cancel it, because purpose is stronger than policy. And sometimes that's exactly why policy gets weaponized, because people in power recognize that purpose is rising. They see something they can't control. They feel the shift, and instead of facing it, they try to stop it. They put out statements. They draw up legislation. They craft narratives to make you doubt what you're carrying. But when you know you were born for something greater, you stop letting policies paralyze your vision. This isn't about disrespecting authority. It's about understanding that no human authority can outvote the divine assignment on your life. It's about walking with your head high when the world says you should shrink. It's about moving with intention when the headlines try to paint you as a problem. It's about knowing that purpose was never meant to be convenient. It was meant to be unstoppable. And listen closely. Sometimes policy is the test. It's the test that reveals whether you believe more in what they say or in what God already told you. When the doors close, when the rules change, when the system says, you're not welcome, will you still move like you're chosen? Will you still walk like the earth needs what's inside of you? Because this world wants you to believe that access defines value. But I'm telling you, value defines access. And if they try to shut you out, don't worry. Purpose will build a new door. And hear this too. Purpose doesn't always fight back with fists or flags. Sometimes purpose fights back by enduring, by surviving, by building anyway, loving anyway, believing anyway, staying faithful when the world goes faithless. You don't always have to make noise to make history. Sometimes you just have to keep showing up, keep speaking the truth, keep standing in love, keep becoming who you were created to be. That's how you outlast policy, with persistence, with principle, with presence. Don't give your future over to the fear of what governments might do. Don't make the mistake of thinking your identity can be outlawed. No policy can measure the depth of your assignment. No expulsion can remove what's already been planted in your spirit. They can send your body somewhere else. But purpose travels with you. Purpose doesn't need a passport. It doesn't need a platform. It needs a willing vessel. And if you're the one, if you're carrying something that nations can't handle, if you're walking with truth that challenges systems, know this: you weren't built to be understood. You were built to be sent. You were built to shift the atmosphere. You were built to speak what others are afraid to say. And policy may rise against you, but purpose will keep rising within you. So stand firm. Don't flinch. Don't fold. You don't need the approval of man when you've been assigned by something greater. The nations may tremble. The laws may shift, but purpose will stand. And as long as you stand in that purpose, you will never be powerless. Now we've come to the end, but not the end of the story. No, this is just the beginning. Because everything you've heard, every truth spoken, every fire that's been stirred, every identity awakened is meant to push you forward, not pull you down. It's meant to remind you that no matter what you hear in the media, no matter what policy is signed, and no matter who tries to silence your presence, you are still standing. And if you're still standing, then your story is still being written, not by governments, not by systems, not by presidents, but by God himself. The world is watching, yes. People are speaking, judging, reacting. But so what? When did your destiny ever belong to their opinion? When did your assignment ever come from their approval? It didn't. Your purpose was authored in the heavens and confirmed in your breath. The fact that you woke up this morning is proof that your purpose has outlived their agenda. They can remove you from a space, but they can't remove what's inside you. They can try to strip your rights, but they can't strip your worth. They can't touch what they didn't give you. You've got to understand the magnitude of what's happening right now. This moment, this crisis, is not just about politics. It's about clarity. It's about the revealing of who's real and who's just reacting. It's about seeing which voices rise with grace and which collapse under pressure. It's about separating noise from power and popularity from purpose. Because when policies start flying, when headlines start spinning, when borders start closing, that's when true identity is revealed. This is not the time to panic. This is not the time to get bitter. This is the time to get bolder. This is the moment to recognize that everything the enemy meant for harm, God is flipping for destiny. Every time they try to shut you out, you shine brighter. Every attempt to silence you only fuels the message burning in your soul. That's how purpose works. It multiplies in pressure. So don't look at this expulsion as rejection. Look at it as redirection. Maybe your time in one place is done because a new door is opening somewhere else. Maybe your message was too powerful for where you were planted. Maybe your presence is meant to be a seed in a new land. Wherever you go, go with your head high. Go with your fire intact. Go with the awareness that you are not going backward. You are being launched forward. This is where history is made. Not in the calm, but in the storm. Not in the safety of agreement, but in the fire of confrontation. You don't become a world changer by staying comfortable. You don't carry legacy by playing it safe. And you definitely don't fulfill purpose by bowing to pressure. So let this be your wake-up call, not to rise in anger, but to rise in intention, to rise in truth, to rise in grace and grit. Look at yourself. You've been tested. You've been talked about. You've been judged, rejected, excluded, and still you didn't break. You've endured policies, press conferences, and prejudice, and still you didn't fold. That's power. That's purpose. That's identity. That's a warrior who doesn't need the world to approve their calling to walk in it. There are generations watching you right now. People who will never meet you, but who will be influenced by how you respond in this moment. They will learn not from your comfort, but from your courage, not from your security, but from your stand. So make it count. Make it loud. Make it purposeful. Make it unshakable. Let this moment in history remember your name. Not as someone who gave in to fear, but as someone who stood in truth. Let them remember that when you were expelled, you expanded. When you were rejected, you rose. When the system said you couldn't, you proved that God already said you could. This isn't the end. This is a launching pad. This is divine alignment. What looks like loss is often the setup for legacy. So carry your voice like it matters, because it does. Walk like you belong, because you do. Speak like the future depends on it, because it does. And live like nothing can stop you, because when you're walking in purpose, nothing can. You are not here by accident. You are not here by mistake. You are here on assignment. And no policy can erase what heaven has written.